When I was at the Super Bowl, Micah Parsons stole my cell phone to use it to compare Daniel Jones to Jalen Hurts stats and was making an impassioned argument on our FanDuel set for about 30 minutes that Daniel Jones wasn't any worse than Jalen Hurts.
Allegedly, Micah Parsons said some interesting things at the Super Bowl on a FanDuel event. Micah Parsons said that Daniel Jones is not that far off from Jalen Hurts. Crazy to think about, something you should consider. Daniel Jones last season had a good season. People like to discount him for not having that many touchdowns, not having a lot of passing yards. But when you look at what he was dealing with, and you compare the numbers to other players, including a player like Jalen Hurts went out and was an MVP candidate this past season. And you have a guy like Micah Parsons, a great defensive player, sees both quarterbacks because they're in the same division twice a year, and he says that Daniel Jones is not that far off from Jalen Hurts. It's a really hot take. I'm going to be real. But coming from a guy that plays for the Cowboys, not a Giants fan, the only person I do know on that call is Nick Wright. This guy has a story about Micah Parsons while being at the Super Bowl on the FanDuel set. So clearly, I don't think it's a discredible source, but I'm going to say alleged because I didn't hear from Micah Parsons. I would be very intrigued to see if Micah Parsons tweets something or has any comments on that, because this probably will pick up more steam throughout some time. But I wanted to dive into it a little bit and explain to y'all why Daniel Jones is actually pretty similar to Jalen Hurts. And I'm going to be honest, before this upcoming season, I was pretty sure that Daniel Jones was better than Jalen Hurts. That's just me. Based off of what I saw in 2021 and based off of what I know for Daniel Jones, like, people who don't watch Giants football aren't going to know what Daniel Jones really looks like. They won't know exactly what he can produce to, because all they'll do is look at his stats and say, hey, this guy is not good. He's like really not good. But they don't look at the games. They don't watch the games. They don't look at the situation that the Giants put him in and year out. We had our own owner feel bad for Daniel Jones because of the situation that he's had to deal with. Third head coach, a bad offensive line throughout his whole journey. It's been really rough for Daniel Jones. Jalen Hurts, on the other hand, Jalen Hurts this past season went ham. But one thing that you have to acknowledge is that Howie Roseman did a good job of setting up the team for him. They did a great job building up this roster. One, the whole roster is competitive, from the defensive side of the ball to the offensive side of the ball. The whole roster is complete. They went to the Super Bowl, didn't win it all, but they did whatever was necessary to give Jalen Hurts the best chance to win. Daniel Jones this past season was going into a rebuild year. Like, we couldn't spend no money. We had a lot of players that, Kenny Golladay, getting paid a lot of money and not living up to it at all. We had a lot of guys like that on this team. We had a lot of people cut from practice squads playing on this team. Week in and week out, you see a guy like Marcus Johnson gets thrown out there. David Sills gets thrown out there. You see a lot of people that, you can't count on these guys to play on other rosters. Like, these guys are probably going to still play on practice squads for other teams. Last season, you know who the top two receivers were for Daniel Jones? And Isaiah Hodgins, I'm putting him to the side because he was a late addition, probably the best receiver after that. But Darius Slayton and Richie James, both of these guys are probably not even starting for any other team. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be real. Darius Slayton, maybe. There's a chance that Darius Slayton was. But you got to remember, Darius Slayton almost didn't even make this team. This very team. I'm not discrediting anybody. At the end of the day, you pair the weapons up with the players. But what I can say is Daniel Jones didn't have anything close to that. And in my opinion, the stats are pretty close. Like, it's not such a big margin that you would think Jalen Hurts is astronomically better than Daniel Jones. Because you have to pair also that Jalen Hurts has the way better offensive line. Like, best offensive line in the league. Daniel Jones, outside of Andrew Thomas, who I think is probably a top 3 left tackle in this league, the interior play, horrific. I felt like if he sat back there for 4 seconds, every single time, there's going to be someone in his lap. Jalen Hurts had a lot of time to be able to sit back there, throw some deep balls to guys like Devontae Smith, guys like A.J. Brown. He had a lot of time to throw to those receivers. And A.J. Brown, man, that's one that gets at me because A.J. Brown, during the draft process and before the NFL draft happened, man, A.J. Brown was rocking like a Giants fitted or a Giants jacket. I couldn't remember which one. And I really wanted him. He went in the second round. I really felt like the Giants could have drafted A.J. Brown, especially after seeing that, and they didn't. And A.J. Brown is just a monster. He just is. And now he's playing in our division. We're playing him 2 times a year. It makes me sick. I'm not going to lie. It makes me sick. But let's dive into the stats real quick. Daniel Jones was able to throw for 3,200 yards with 15 touchdowns, passer rating of 92.5, 67% completion percentage. Probably one of his best years, if not the best year of his career. Let's be real. Daniel Jones also rushed for 700 yards. So that's something I have to factor in because everybody wants to throw away rushing yards when it comes to Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, his numbers don't look great, and you can't include these when it comes to talking about Daniel Jones for some reason. Rushed for 700 yards, put up 7 touchdowns on the ground, man. A big stat for Daniel Jones, and it just shows that he's versatile. He's a weapon with his legs and his arm. People need to start accounting for that. Last season, I think everybody saw it. So going into Jalen Hurts stats, 3,700 yards, so 500 more than Daniel Jones, which granted, good chunk. 22 touchdowns, 100 passing rating, 66 completion percentage. Jalen Hurts' numbers were good. I'm not going to say that he played like trash. I'm not going to say he played like garbage. Jalen Hurts played really well last season. But once again, when you have a top offensive line, when you have that wide receiver core that you have, you would have thought that Jalen Hurts threw for over 4,500 yards. With the way people are talking about him. Like, you would have thought that Jalen Hurts blew Daniel Jones out of the water the way they make it seem like he's way better than Daniel Jones. I can argue that if you put Daniel Jones in that very same situation, he'll put up the same numbers, if not better. Because I think Daniel Jones is a better passer. That's just me. I felt it since before this past season, and I still feel it to this day. Jalen Hurts makes some great throws. He definitely improved off of everything that he needs to improve since his rookie season and his sophomore season. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. You know, I hate to say it because the Eagles, man, the Eagles are our pain in my side. But Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. There's nothing else I can really say about it. But I don't think he's that much better than Daniel Jones. And obviously, his legs is a big weapon. Jalen Hurts rushed for 760 rushing yards, 14 touchdowns on the ground. And if you watch a lot of the Eagles game, what did you see? 1-yard touchdowns. You saw the QB sneak. It was undefeated for them. Like, literally nobody could stop that QB sneak play from 1 yard out. Every single time when it's short yardage, they were able to get it with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback. I'm not saying that he's not. But we need to start respecting Daniel Jones and not just look at numbers and think that it's really close. Now, diving into why we're talking about this topic in general. Micah Parsons said it himself. Looking at these numbers, the numbers are not that far off. Daniel Jones' supporting cast were nothing compared to Jalen Hurts. We should all be able to know that. We should all be able to account for it. You have to see it first, right? I need to see Daniel Jones be able to step out like Jalen Hurts did. I need to see him with these weapons too. I think this upcoming season, still, it's not even up there with Jalen Hurts. We're going into the season with Darren Waller, which that's a big threat, but he needs to stay on the field. We all know this, but I think he's in store for a big year. Jalen Hyatt, potentially, but this is a rookie. You know, how much can we really count on with Jalen Hyatt? How much can we really count on? Outside of Jalen Hyatt, Darren Waller, we're running it back with Slayton. We added Paris Campbell. Sterling Shepard, is he going to be able to play for us? We're going to see. Cullen Johnson, everyone, you know, in the comments be spamming about Cullen Johnson, man. I don't know what to expect after that injury, but hopefully he's a big addition to this team as well. Daniel Jones, I think, is in store for a very, very good season. And I think people are going to have to respect him soon. He got paid his money the same way Jalen Hurts did. Jalen Hurts is getting paid a lot more. But I think Daniel Jones is going to live up to it. And ultimately, year 2 in this system with some continuity and even better weapons, even more speed, it's going to be interesting. And all I know is that people need to start counting for Daniel Jones because he's not no pimp squeak no more. And if you're asking me, he's at least top 2 in our division. Dak Prescott's not even in the conversation. I might have to make a whole separate video on that. But Dak Prescott is not better than Daniel Jones. I'm sorry. People need to really stop living in this cloud that they are and not just read numbers. Because if you want to read numbers, that interception rate last season was not good. You guys let me know down in the comments. Is Daniel Jones better than Jalen Hurts? Y'all let me know. Comment down below. Also subscribe if you haven't. Road to 10K still active, man. I got more Giants content coming through. It's a little dry in the NFL season. I just can't wait for the NFL to start, man. But I got more content coming for y'all. If you haven't seen my other ones, I got more to the left. I will catch y'all. Peace.